This session will be presented by Ms. Supriya Kulkarni, brand strategist, human-centered designer, ethics advocate, and entrepreneur. Ms. Supriya Kulkarni will be joining us virtually today. So can we have Ms. Supriya on the screen, please?
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Yukon Media, for inviting me to speak today. And let me introduce myself a little bit. I'm Supriya Kulkarni. I live in Jakarta, Indonesia. I'm a human-centered designer. I'm an ethics advocate in the sense that I run, an ethics consultancy called the Ethics Company, and I have been doing a lot of work in the area of ethical design. The reason I'm speaking to you today is I've done a lot of exploration in this area, and I've also developed certain frameworks in ethical design. So today, I think we are almost at the end of the summit. Probably mine is the last session, and I think it's actually a great way to round off the last 2 days by talking about ethics. So before we get into a deeper discussion on ethics, I just want to take you through one little thought, which is what is ethics? Understand what ethics means before we actually get into a discussion. So different people have different definitions, different understanding, interpretations, as well as misconceptions about the meaning of ethics. So I do, like I said, many sessions on this topic across different audiences, different industries, different countries. And the first thing I like to do before I begin anything is like to understand what people's perceptions are regarding what ethics means to them. And today I'd like to share some of these perceptions with you because I feel that many of you might have, similar thoughts about what ethics means. So the first thing is ethics is equivalent to morality. Some of it is true, some of it is not. Ethics is mostly to people compliance. It's about laws, regulations, policies. Some people say it's all about philosophy and academic stuff, too high funda, too vague. Some people say, oh, it's all about privacy and data. It's a nice to have, but it doesn't mean too much. It's a little bit, like sustainable or organic. It's all hava. There are others who say, when you have a diverse team, when you have a lot of women working in your team, it's all ethical. And then there are many others who say ethics is actually an accusatory word because it implies when you say ethical design or when you say ethics, it implies that somebody is being unethical. Yeah. So while some of these are true, a lot of them are not. Like I said, there are also misconceptions. So to me, responsible and informed decision making about how we create products, services, and experiences is what ethical design is all about. Regardless of the industry, regardless of the technology, regardless of the kind of stuff that you might be creating. And so today's session, like I've seen a few sessions since yesterday, and I feel that there are so many amazing ideas, so many innovations, so many opportunities to create voice artifacts. Voice is a platform. So my session on ethics is not a put downer. My session is mainly to sort of raise awareness about some of the issues that can make the voice technology as well as voice products more beneficial to people, to make sure that different stakeholders, are accepting the kind of products that we're putting out for them, and that there are no harms or no unintended consequences which are created because of the products that we create. So in the like I said, in the course of my work, I keep coming across different types of news articles, different types of conversations in social media, whether it's social media, whether it's people I talk to, practitioners, ethicists, even users. So I get to hear about a lot of ethical issues, about a lot of areas of ethical concerns regarding services, regarding products across different industries. So in this session, what I'm going to do is actually talk about 4 or 5 broad and top of mind issues, specifically in voice technology and voice industry. So I think the best way to understand how to design ethically is to understand how to spot these ethical issues and issues that might actually amplify as you go further down the line. So let's look at the first one, which is privacy and data security. So this still seems to be the topmost area of concerns. A lot of people, a lot of discussions even on LinkedIn regarding privacy, snooping stuff and all that. So whether it is headlines about big tech companies or popular voice assistants, which might be embroiled in certain controversies, there's a lot of news in this area. Recently, I think there was also McDonald's in the news for breaking privacy laws for their voice recognition systems at drive-thrus. Then there was, I think, an article about how users can actually protect themselves. So whether it is whether it is the people who are actually creating, people who are using it, or from regulators, there seems to be conversation on privacy, data security, information on different channels and from different perspectives. Yeah? So let's look at the next one, which is accessibility and inclusion. So I think even bias to a certain extent is included in this. So whether it is accents, whether it is dialects or speech patterns, so users seem to have problems making themselves understood, and this is giving rise to some amount of irritation, some amount of frustration. Voices of younger children or that of older people whose voices are not developed enough, or voices which are not strong enough, are really not understood, so they're having a tough time. Then there are people with hearing and speech impediments. For instance, someone who has a stutter or who has a stammer or talks slowly because they have to, pronounce each word carefully. They seem to be losing out on using certain products seamlessly or smoothly. Let's move on to the next area of concern, which is the reinforcement of stereotypes. So we do know that, I mean, this is a much discussed topic, and we do know that most popular voice assistants have female voices, names, female names, and eager to please personas. In fact, UNESCO published a report about this, about AI's gender stereotyping a couple of years back. This, however, I mean, some of this is actually being taken care of. However, recently I was reading about digital or virtual humans, which are supposed to be the future of customer experience because they are a mix of voice and visual bots. And I feel that the same story seems to be repeating here. So if you look at even the words, the customer assistant, sales concierge, they are females, but a financial advisor is shown as a male. I hope this is an aberration. However, I delved a little further into this topic, and this is what I see. That again, the same story that started with voice assistants is sort of getting repeated over here. What I do feel is that society is changing, very fast in terms of ideas around gender, whether it's orientations, whether it's roles, whether it's capabilities, abilities. And I think we should be really conscious and mindful of this changing narrative of society when we're creating voice and tech artifacts. So the point to remember, I think, is that products do reflect the values as well as biases of their creators, and that's something that we should be conscious about while creating these products. Let's move on to the next one, which is effects and harms to children. So whether it is in the form of uncensored information or dangerous challenges set by popular voice assistants, whether they might be by mistake, or the fear that voice activated smart toys and other devices may be collecting sensitive data from children and about children. So these harmful effects and impacts on kids seems to be like a much discussed area of concern, and this definitely needs to be addressed. I actually came across this another thing, which is Amazon Answers, Alexa Answers. Children do tend to believe what they read, what they hear, and this example actually is quite disturbing because I think this particular thing gives very misleading, sometimes incorrect, a lot of times offensive answers. So it's worth looking into, because children are very impressionable, and they are, apt to believe technology quite a lot. There were also headlines about children who use voice devices with their homework can develop mental laziness and face learning challenges in the future, mainly because the way we talk to voice assistants could be, of a shallow, in a shallow way, or oversimplistic kind of patterns. Another story that I came across, which is being actually shared a lot on LinkedIn right now in different social media, is this one, which is Alexa is a human. And I'm sorry, I have a disclaimer. I do not have anything against Amazon or against Alexa. Somehow, just the examples that I came across were these. So, as you know, Alexa is the most popular, one of the most popular voice assistants in the world. Unfortunately, the name Alexa has started becoming synonymous with digital servant, and in fact girls called Alexa are being teased and bullied. So there I read a lot about this, and I hear that there have been suicide attempts. Little girls are scared of going to school because of bullying and teasing and harassment. In fact, many of them have changed their names. They're altering their names to like a shorter name or whatever. And there is a movement by parents to get this wake word changed, which is called Alexa is human. So I think for creators, the important thing to remember is that even something as simple as a brand name can have many repercussions or many negative impacts to users as well as non-users. Now, what does this mean? This does not mean that voice technology is bad or everything is always ending in negative impacts, not at all. But as some of these issues, some of the examples might illustrate what we think are great products or absolutely fine products, or use cases or features or functions, can sometimes have unconscious ethical problems. And these small unconscious problems can actually lead to different negative impacts at multiple levels. And those multiple levels actually could be many, and these could arise because of many reasons. I mean, it could be the way the products have been designed, the way they've been deployed, underlying problems with data, the training data. It could be, the way the use case has been designed or a feature has been designed. And again, these impacts could be, like I said, at multiple levels. Most importantly, they could be at, they could sort of impact human well-being, which is different dimensions of human well-being. We call it the social dimension, the physical, the emotional, the mental. So, for instance, as we saw in the example of Alexa asking that little girl to put her whatever penny in the electric switch. I mean, physical harm could very well be the end result. That there are, like Alexa is human, is definite mental and emotional harm. um, at other level, there could be impacts on user trust. Users have a very, very fragile thread of trust in services or products. There could be a chance of, or increased chance of, legal risks. And last but not the least, all these could actually come together to impact the brand and business reputation of the creators, of the organizations, of the companies who are putting out these products into the market. Now, like I said, everything is not, doom and gloom. Also, these issues and also the impacts that arise from these issues are definitely not deliberate. I mean, nobody starts this a day and says, "Let me create something that's going to harm somebody." However, and a lot of these, like I feel, when people talk about bias or accents or whatever, I cannot use this product. A lot of it has to do with there's not enough time spent working on all the accents and stuff like that. So some of these can definitely be resolved with technical intervention. However, others do need a more proactive ethical design approach. So what does that mean? proactive ethics. So proactive ethics actually means going beyond the legal, the compliance, the regulatory scopes to ensure that there are, responsible outcomes. It means making sure that the safety and interests of users are guarded or safeguarded through all business decisions as well as through design decisions. So how do we do that? Like I said, nobody really deliberately wants to create products with negative impacts or unintended consequences, but there is not enough awareness about how to do this. There are definitely existing ethics frameworks in other industries, especially in AI ethics, but those might be too generic. They might be not customized enough to the voice industry. So I have done some research on voice technology, and I have developed a couple of frameworks based on my research insights. This is actually being used at the Digital Assistant Academy in the US, run by Shamala Prayaga, to train conversation designers for their capstone projects. And some parts of this toolkit are also used in my ethics consultancy to guide clients in their design process. So today, in the remaining time, what I'm going to do is walk you through some parts of the framework that can be applied for all projects. Of course, I won't be able to get into too much detail. So there are different pillars, as I call them, to the ethical toolkit that sort of guides design, development, and business teams while working on any kind of project. So some of these pillars are one, the approach, the culture, the mindset that responsible design or ethical design really requires, and how to develop an internal culture that sort of supports ethical design and ethical outcomes. The second is the processes and systems. So thinking about internal processes, the tools, the data management systems or data management practices, how tech systems might be selected and implemented. So all this to help ensure that the resulting products, resulting interactions are fair, just, unbiased. The next pillar is actually the product or the use case, where outline the problem that has to be solved or the need that may have been identified for the use case. Sometimes, we get so excited with the possibilities of technology that we don't really think, should this really be done? Is it worth doing? Is it really going to meet business goals and user goals? So this pillar actually helps you define that and put the overall desired outcomes, the purpose of the use case in this. The next pillar is the stakeholders. So this could be external and internal individuals or groups, and how everybody's interests sort of affect and impact the product that you're trying to create, and also how to factor in different people. The next one is core and peripheral values, which is a very, very important pillar, especially for anything that has to do with AI ethics. This influences how we actually make decisions. The next one is the bot or the assistant persona, which greatly determines how users adopt the service, how they perceive the service, how they like interacting with it. So this pillar is all about defining the values, the traits, the capabilities, the limitations, the boundaries of the voice assistant, factoring in the different users and potential outcomes of interactions. For example, how should it react to abuse? How should it react in emergencies, etc. The next pillar is potential impacts. So, like we saw, there are many products that we think are fine, but they could have some hidden, unintentionally hidden ethical issues. And this pillar actually helps us define and sort of understand what those potential impacts could be, or what those potential issues could be that could amplify at a later date. So impacts is all about anticipating the potential impacts of our product or use case so that we can mitigate them through the design before they become big. Last but not the least is KPIs and metrics. So relooking at or setting the correct metrics so that they can measure the impact of our products as well as the efficiency and efficacy of them. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is just do a small deep dive on the values pillar, because I feel that when we looked at those initial ethical issues, the core values sort of helps tie everything together. So values actually helps mitigate some of those concerns. The first core value I think is well-being. What it means is ensuring that our products have positive impact on all the dimensions of human well-being, users as well as non-users. Then respect. So respect means through the way we design our products, through the way we design every interaction, making sure that we are giving due consideration for the time, the dignity, abilities, and means of users, and being mindful of how using our product makes them feel. The third is dignity, making decisions, design decisions, business decisions, any kind of decisions regarding the creation of the product that uphold basic user rights, empowering them with the product and promoting respectful interactions. Then is responsibility, designing intentionally with full understanding of what impact our product may cause on users. And accountability, which means that after we have designed, taking full accountability for the outcomes, for the performance of the product, for the effects as well as outcomes, whether they are intended or unintended of our products. Being there to support our users in case they need it. Autonomy is enabling our users to be in complete control over how they use the product. Yeah, not making choices on their behalf, but giving them the autonomy to choose and decide for themselves. And last but not the least, very, very important, transparency. This is not just about visibility, of collection or storage or sharing of information that we collect from users, but this is also about the clarity of intentions of what we're going to do with the information that we have. It's about clarity on the features, what each feature might do for them, and also easy feedback loops. For instance, if they want to get in touch with us, if they have a problem, how do we react? How do we help them resolve these problems? And I feel even the way we have terms and conditions, making it easier for people to understand what they're getting into, what they're using. Yeah. So we spoke in the beginning about the concept of privacy. So privacy for me, I feel privacy is not so much a value. Privacy is more an end result. It's an outcome of respectful design. So let me give you an example. In an offline world, we really don't peep into people's windows or barge into their homes just because they brought a product from us. We understand the meaning of physical privacy, uh, and I feel that it should be the same in an online world, in a digital scenario. So if we understand these boundaries that we sort of seem to accept in an offline world, those are the same things that we should ideally apply in an online world. And again, when it comes to ethics, there is a lot of misconceptions about ethics place, the place of ethics in business. That ethics is for do-gooders. You can't be ethical as well as profitable. It's a challenge to certain, business models. But I feel that it definitely helps you succeed as a business. Let me just tell you why. From a human well-being perspective, intentional and responsible design does help to mitigate potential harm. It helps, to sort of nullify or at least mitigate all those unintended consequences arising from our products. Um, when you create a responsible product, I think it can help you stand apart in the market. Probably it can also help you charge a premium. We often see that happening in other industries. um, I think Ethisphere is a company who sort of defines and measures corporate ethical standards. So, according to Ethisphere, businesses that focus on ethics actually create the environment or the conditions that lead to success. Employees like working with companies that have, a code of conduct, an ethical code or principles, and practice in place. So, attracting and retaining talent becomes easier. Even as consumers, we like to engage with brands and businesses who are purpose led, who like to make a positive impact. So I feel that it's a win-win situation, if for businesses, for users, for all stakeholders concerned. If we decide to be more responsible, if we decide to be more intentional. And I know that was a lot to take in the last whatever few minutes, but I want to leave you with two or three takeaways. And the first is, as an industry, I definitely think there needs to be more awareness about ethics as well as ethical issues and their impacts on different, whether it's users, non-users, environment, etc. Doing ethics by design or intentional and responsible design can definitely mitigate some of the harms that are caused to users and non-users. And good ethics, definitely, if used as an advantage, it definitely makes good business sense. I know there was not enough time to go into details regarding the toolkit and stuff, but if you want to know more about the frameworks, if you want to know more about how to apply ethical design in your company, please feel free to connect with me at all these places. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Supriya, for joining us today and giving your valuable insights.